Doing today is we're just repositioning the trawler from behind jacks here at the Oxbow anchorage. We're going back down to the power plant slough because that'll be a good jumping off point tomorrow. We've been here for a few days. Captain Connie's bringing us back in here into power plant slough. This is what it looks like coming on in. We got a south wind, so we're going to hook around this little point right in here and anchor behind it. The morning a little early for us, and we're going to go ahead and head out of power plant slough and down to Fort Myers today. Now that sign up there is the Cracker Barrel where I stayed on the Orange River in the Intercoastal series. I did it in the Sea Dory, and you can go up the Orange River. I'm not sure if the docks are still there. I understand they took a pretty good lick in a hurricane. Now this is personal preference, but when I'm coming into or going out of an anchorage, I'm back down real slow, and that way if I do run upon something, I've got more power to back it off than I stuck it with. Come out, the first bridge we come to is the I-75 bridge, and then after that's a railroad bridge, normally left open, and it still is active. In. Calusa Harbor. I wonder if they know what the name stands for, but the Calusa tribe occupied this area of the world at the time the Spanish were exploring Florida. There's evidently a fleet of galleons yet to be discovered off the mouth of this thing someplace, because when they got here, the Spanish did, they found a survivor, Juan Ortiz, I believe his name was, living amongst the Indians. Now from Fort Myers, we're going to come into the Cape Coral area and go under the series of bridges here, and there's a green day marker down here. I guess the hurricane got it, but it's no longer here. Now this is the Cape Coral Bridge proper, and we've got looks like 54 feet today. Now red 78, we're gonna start bearing off our range markers here and heading on out the mouth San Carlos Bay, and we'll be off of the Okeechobee waterway. Now into the bay here, you got to pay strict attention because it's a lot of shoaling. And into San Carlos Bay, you got some bridges coming off of Punta Rassa area, Point Rassa, that eventually going to head on over to Sanibel Island. This is what it looks like. But down here at Punta Rassa, this area, the Spanish in the late 1500s, throughout the 1600s, had their cattle operations. There were more cattle here than in Texas. And they had a fishery established in Tampa Bay. They had a mission there as well. And up in the St. Marks River, they shipped 600 tons of indigo yearly indigo was the blue dye that they used for their pottery, and it was all the rage in Europe at the time, and dye for their fabrics and everything else. Now there's a shot going back where we came from, up Chubby Waterway. And there you got your intercoastal waterway coming past Picnic Island here, and we're camped out behind Picnic Island. We're kind of catching supper here. We're here on Picnic Island at the San Carlos Bay. This is Dog Washing 101. And we're pulled over here on our intercoastal trip, and people have asked me what do I use for my metal detectors. Well, I'm using essentially the same thing used 30 years ago, and that's a Garrett Sea Hunter Mark II. And that's a little updated from the old ones we used to use. The ones that we had back then were on NICADs, and you had to send them back to the factory every 5 years. These are on just regular batteries. It has a battery pack that can be flooded, and has no effect on the unit. Now, unlike our old machine where we just had one position on and off and a threshold and a trash elimination knob, which kind of sort of worked and kind of sort of didn't. It's been updated to where you've got discrete trash elimination, and the eliminator will actually save you quite a bit of time on junk targets. Now, the old box unit Garrett had been out a while, and Fisher came out with this Impulse, Fisher M-Scope Impulse. Now, these are no longer made, but boy, they were great. If you can find one on eBay or wherever, and just a simple on-off. And now they had great depth. If there was a fault to them, I guess it would be that you had to order it with either a large coil or a small one. The coils aren't interchangeable, whereas on the Garretts they are. What we're doing tonight, get protection from a stiff northeast wind coming in, is we've come out the entrance there at the Caloosahatchee. This is Pine Island, and right up here is York Island, where these sailboats are anchored. And we're going to head into this pocket over here. It's good anchorage, and the book says you have good water within 100 feet of shore, and we can get protection there from anything coming out of the north. And the wind's supposed to be northwest tonight, 15-20. They have Pine Island, and then a cut, and then that tip there is York Island, and that's where the anchorage is. Now, across the way we've got Sanibel Island, and you got the bridges to it. Down there you got the entrance to the Caloosahatchee and the Okeechobee Waterway. And up here you got York Island, and this is where our location is, off of it. Just beautiful water, and fish jumping everywhere. Now when we're on the water, a jar of these does wonders to freshen things up. Right now Captain Connie's fixing up Philly cheesesteaks tonight. And people wonder how we do when we're out here on the water. Well, we do quite well. We eat everything we do on land. We matched our appliances so they would run on the Honda 2000 without taxing it at all. You know, we watched our wattage. Ready for a Philly cheese steak with onions and peppers.